So last time we got to them filling their mugs full of beer and Alegord complaining about mashed potatoes and string beans, right?
Yep.
Was he complaining there? I thought the food was good.
Well, he does say, is this really what they serve? As he looked at the cooked lamb mutton surrounded by mashed potatoes and string beans.
That doesn't sound bad to me, but I guess old Alegord is used to better stuff. Even though he's been a guard or a knight, I don't know. I wouldn't think knights would eat very good most of the time. They'd be like soldiers, especially one that didn't come from a noble house until he did for a month.
And then he left.
That month had a big impression on him. He got to eat good food for that month.
So before we continue, exactly how much can you remember of the prologue and the first chapter and most of this one?
All of it. My memory is an ironclad safe.
All right. If you think so.
Except for names. Names, not so much.
Okay, what names do you remember?
And maybe some places.
And places.
And events.
Okay.
I might remember colors. I remember they had a bunch of battles and some kingdoms and emperors and empire, and then a guy got taken out after he took out the elves. He nuked the nukers after he took them out on the island with all the resistance and everybody with his small group of friends. And then they cursed him and his small group of friends to be the 7 sins. 6 sins, secret 7th. And then they went to the north but stayed where they were. So we have that conflict. And the kingdom continued on even though it didn't, because everybody turned into demons and became a new kingdom of Malahlala something, which also got renamed the same thing multiple times. And Korg, now that's a simple name, I can remember that, was the king and his 4 generations of 10-year-olds, king's sons. Maybe they just grew up really fast. They came out of the womb fully grown. It's not impossible in this world, I'd imagine.
I mean, maybe, considering just how vicious of a creature Korg the Conqueror was.
He just sort of makes clones of himself inside of women.
He doesn't breed, he just buds.
And then now him and Henry had a little bit of a tussle. And then Henry decided to join him, but got sent to the north or something like that. That part's a bit vague for me.
So Henry was in charge of this castle, Castle Clifton, and Korg was going around doing his conquering business. And Korg decided to lay siege to Castle Clifton, and him and his forces killed all of Henry's men, leaving Henry to defend the castle by himself, which he managed to kill 100 men in a single day.
That's a motherfucking badass.
And then he went face to Korg, and he lost to Korg in the blink of a second. So Korg just kind of left. He didn't take over the castle. He kind of just left.
In the blink of a second. Okay.
Yeah,
The author
has a way with words.
That's a new one right there. That's a new one. In the blink of a second.
And after getting his ass kicked and on the brink of death, he got healed and decided to work for the man that killed all of his men. And then they succeeded.
Power is the what everybody follows. So Korg is the ultimate. Which Korg was this? The first Korg?
This is the one true Korg. Korg the
Okay.
Conqueror.
And it's 4 duplicates who are basically just his generals now, maybe? I heard you say something about 3 kings, or you texted something about 3 kings.
It is unknown, but the author notes do reference 3 separate kings at the same time in the same kingdom.
Oh. And they're not all Korgs?
No.
Because what are his sons up to, if they aren't kings themselves, but are...
Unknown.
Okay. Well, that about catches us up where Alegord was the son of Galahad, or was it Galahad? I don't remember.
His father is Galahad, and
Yeah.
the character is Alegord.
Yeah, Galahad had the business with the maid who did it on purpose to blackmail him and took him away, raised him for 18 years. He became a knight, and then she got killed by the dead because she told him. But even though that was her plan all along, apparently she didn't factor in the possibility that he might get angry that she was going to blackmail him and he might kill her or something like that. So, and then he just became okay with it and decided to do what his father asked after staying with him for a month. And that's where he ended up here. But he is a knight commander after being a knight for 3 years or so, 3 or 6 years, something like that.
Yeah, he went from squire to knight commander in about 3 years.
Yeah. And then he went north to Clifton, where he is going to be the new knight commander there, because apparently they don't last very long, because every new person that gets sent there dies, and all the old people that are there also die. Yet there's still people there. And the big tower where Henry stays, I mean, not Henry, William stays with his ghost candles and his standing sleep, which honestly, it's possible to sleep sitting up, so standing up, maybe.
I mean, the frame of it was said to be made of ropes. I don't know how stable that would be to stand upon.
Well, he's probably leaning on something, leaning against the wall.
And it is Henry.
Oh, that's Henry?
Yeah, Henry's the old man that lives up at the top of the indiscriminate tower.
I got him swapped with William Lannister. Because he's got the lion symbol. Or was that Henry that has the lion symbol too? Are they both lion symbol?
The Galat family has the lion symbol.
A Galat. Okay. All right. Well, that's where we're at now. They went down to... Oh, yeah. Well, I guess we can't forget to recount that. Oh, my gosh. They all woke up laying on the floor and on bales of hay and leaning against the wall with a nest of bugs invading and rats. And then immediately they couldn't see, but then they could immediately, and all were getting up and getting ready for dinner. But William and Gallagher were summoned up to Henry for some reason, but when they get up there, they weren't summoned. They were just on the duty to go get him to fetch him for dinner. And then they had the random talk about there's something going on in the beyond the wall. Things are getting bad. So it was really all over the place there. And then they went down to dinner, which is right after everybody woke up.
Yes.
That's where we are.
Yeah, after that they went down. They pushed the large, heavy wooden door that lets them go from the Great Hall to the dining hall, and then they went inside to see the numerous groups ranging between left and right.
That's right, left and right.
And they went over to a separate table all the way in front of all of them that is sitting on a stage.
Yep. So they can all see them eat above them.
And then I can't remember if I brought it up with you guys. However, I did remember it when I was talking to the other guy. Where is it? The table is only met for high-ranking knights.
Only meant for high-ranking knights, I assume.
So, would that mean that William is also a knight?
That seems to be the case. We have figured that out now. He was standing outside staring up at the stars, you know.
Fine.
And that is where we are now.
All right. So, to continue on after they sat down at the table, the two started chuckling and exchanging laughs as a man soon approached, setting their plates on the table and filling their mugs full of beer. Is this really what they serve? As he looked at the cooked lamb mutton surrounded by mashed potatoes and string beans. It is, but the beer isn't half bad. The two began to laugh together as they poured
I'll eat that
themselves.
Hold on a second. Is he complaining about having pork, beef, and mutton, and beans, and a feast, basically?
Well, so far, all that, because the other stuff's later. Right now, he's just complaining about having his mug full of beer and being given cooked lamb mutton and mashed potatoes and string beans.
I assume well-seasoned mashed potatoes and perfectly crispy string beans. Okay, maybe not crispy, maybe just well-cooked. by the way you guys talked about it.
Even then, it's just bizarre that he's like bitching about just having food.
Yeah, that's a pretty like regular meal. what would poor fare would be a hard lump of bread and a soup that is mostly water with barely any bits in it. That's poor food. Like that right there, you're talking kings eat that kind of stuff. Fucking mutton, mashed potatoes, and beans. Peasants get hard bread. I'm sure he's had traveling rations being a knight. That is pretty much just hard bread and salted meat.
Well, I mean, on his travels over to Fort Clifton, maybe he was just nibbling on the horse.
Well, could be tasty. I don't know.
I mean, he was already killing it. He might as well make a meal out of it.
I wonder if that's an important steed that he will be traveling with for a long time.
I actually don't know if his horse or any of the other horses in this castle are referenced again.
They're dead.
It is, but the beer isn't half bad. The two began to laugh together as they poured themselves some beer and clamped their drinks together. Soon,
they just hold them together as hard as they can. Yeah.
Soon Henry enters the room, pride and noble. The lord bared a unique blade that Alegord couldn't recognize before. Now in the light of brightly lit dining hall, he could see the blade clearly as it was wrapped in a scabbard of black color, engraved in gold elvish language that translates to Ludwig, the sword's holy name. The blade consisted of Yerheim steel, spellbound by elvish magic. He holds it by his rear, openly displaying it to all.
I'll just point out that that's entirely a lie.
That just shouldn't be there.
Okay, I just looked it up finally to put this to rest. Horses, a very fine endurance horse can only last for about 7 miles before it runs itself to death.
Holy moly!
And a not endurance horse can only do about like 2 or 3 miles. So
Well,
That horse is beyond dead.
it is super dead. I like how it all only took just a Google search.
I mean, it might not be an exact formula there, but a couple different answers, but it said about 7 miles. So
It's
I
certainly
imagine,
closer than like longer than a day.
and they can run like 15 to 17 miles an hour. So it's probably like less than an hour a horse can run at full speed. I don't know though. That's strange because I thought they could run for at least like 4 or 5 hours before dying, but apparently I might have been misinformed by fantasy.
So, again, something not mentioned in the book, but it is in the notes. The entire real description of this sword is wrong.
Wrong in what way? Wrong in this form or?
In all of it. So, in the notes, about 500 years ago, back when the giants were still sleeping and no one really interacted with the elves, some asshole named Madrid decided that his goal in life would be to take control of the entire southern half of Alegord. Whether that means the world of Alegord or the continent of Alegord, I do not know. And so he got 12 knights to help him out, and he succeeded in his plan. But then his 12 knights decided they needed to rebel, so they went through and fashioned this sword. They called it Ludwig, and then some fuck named Maladin Jarl used it to assassinate Madrid. And that was the start of the Kingdom of Maladin, or at least one of its several starts. So, what that means is that it is not magical because they would not have interacted with the elves. It wouldn't have Elvish language in it because they wouldn't know Elvish language because they've never interacted with the elves. And it wouldn't have been made of Yerheim steel because Yerheim steel is the magic steel of the giants who are sleeping.
May have missed a little bit of that. I was doing something, but so basically 500 years before any of the giants and elf stuff, the sword was made.
Yes. So it could not be what this story is describing it as.
And
The author
agrees with this? Does he say that?
Unknown.
I just
Okay.
assumed he forgot what he wrote.
I could see that. So this is it going to be magical and elvish going forward?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll just have to add it to the conflict list for now. Maybe he can retcon it later to be the elves and giants. The giants weren't always sleeping, and the elves weren't always not interacting. I don't know.
William and Alegord quickly rise up to greet him, only making sure to address him by his proper title of Lord. The castle's lord takes his seat in between William and Alegord, as Alegord and William quickly seated themselves back down after he had. Alegord gives a quick glare at Henry for earlier. With all three firmly in their seats, the dining could officially begin. Supper commenced, containing tons and tons of plates filled with roasted beef and mutton, accompanied by cabbage and leek being passed out throughout the hall.
Was that a pre-dinner mutton, mashed potato, and string beef?
That was the appetizer.
Okay, I mean, that's what it seems like, really. How much do these mofos eat?
A lot.
And who is doing the cooking if there's nobody doing the cleaning?
Each table was given a portion, while those on the stage received the best pieces of meat available. Most in the room couldn't help but gaze their eyes at those on the stage. After all, they were eating on the stage directly in front of the room, open to all to see. Delicious meats are being munched on so casually, for all to see, causing most to be envious of them. However, as most were glaring, the three men began to conversate between them.
Okay, so they got most of the meat. There's barely any meat for the other people if they're envious.
It was the best cuts of the meat.
I don't know. I'd be pretty satisfied if I had, like, just a generous supply of meat. So I don't know if they're envious. I don't know. They must be lacking in some way. Maybe they all got the ass. The ass doesn't taste good.
There were questions exchanged and given in the dawn of morning between the three nobles.
Okay, we were right about the time. It checks out.
So it wasn't for high-ranking knights that I was misremembering. It is this. The three nobles. So let's quickly recap here. Henry could be viewed as a noble up to this point. He is the lord of the castle, so maybe he has some status. I mean, we know him as a traitor, and he's forced to work here, but maybe he has ties.
Killed 100 men. He's a noble now.
William, at present, all we know is he's just some dude that stares at the sky at midnight, thinking about good nights of humping women with the roof caved in on his head. And then we have Alegord, who is a bastard child. So, but they are three nobles.
Well, a bastard is maybe, well, it shouldn't be in this world, but apparently.
Well, even then it wouldn't be. Like, if you're a bastard child, you don't have the same ties to the noble family.
It seems like they do, even though they don't, doesn't it?
Well,
it seems like he's treating him like a noble, even though he already said that really they shouldn't be. Everybody hates them.
Well, I suppose that could be excused for the fact that he's like their new commander, and he just has to be up there because he's like supposed to be in charge of them.
But he did say he regrets that his father chose to acknowledge him as kin, so maybe he is acknowledged as noble, even though he's a bastard. I don't know. It's not very clear. That's still funny, though. He regrets it. Why?
Most of which center around the ongoing conflict regarding the demon spawns. Henry was more concerned with the current status of the fort, while William was more concerned about securing the region up ahead. While they discussed matters on the current situation, the men in the back could be clearly heard having times of joy munching on their grub.
Okay, so they are satisfied even though they're envious and staring at that noble table like they got a problem.
Soldiers filled with joy and delight were seen all across the hall.
Even after they got attacked by rats and bugs? Okay.
It's fine. Just diseases. The plague.
These are real men.
Their yells and screams could be heard throughout the castle as they munched on some roasted boar and leek alongside some beer. Meanwhile, the lord drank a famous rich red vine known as gamay alongside his captain.
It's a vine filled with liquid. He just chops a part of it off and chugs it down.
Bite by bite, without pause, he slowly consumed his meals, savoring the delightful taste. After the meal, Henry announces supper end, and the men head to their daily duties of the castle. Henry makes his way to the bailey as William follows closely behind. Alegord, unsure of where they heading, follows lastly and falls behind them.
Okay, so what is a bailey? Because I saw that earlier and I was like, wait a second. Did you look this up? What is a bailey? That's one I'm unfamiliar with.
I do not know the definition off the top of my head.
I believe it's part of a castle wall.
Yeah, the outer wall of a castle or any of the sections of outer walls. He definitely looked that up because it's just out of nowhere random castle terminology.
Alegord follows them outside in the bailey area where they stop at a well. I shall now be listing the following men for your next scouting venture beyond the walls, as he takes out a piece of paper. Thomas, John, Simon. Take these three with you, Henry said.
I want to know what's on that piece of paper. Is it just their names?
It's just three names written on.
I couldn't memorize these.
Only three?
I would like to point out that paper is not a European invention.
Huh. Yeah, it's hard. You really have to really track that stuff because I have no clue. I know papyrus. Papyrus, I remember that from school. Egypt.
They would use like vellum, it's paper made from like animal skin.
Oh yeah, that does ring a bell.
Like actual paper was made in China.
Well, in this world, all modern conveniences they need exist.
I'm fairly certain there's cars at one point.
Only three, William whisper. Did you not hear me speak of Harwood? Which is different from hardwood, I suppose. If Harwood Fortress has fallen, so be it. However, we cannot risk losing so many men in the Nylons.
Like they already have every time. Even all the ones that exist there, they're all ghosts.
On top of that, and on top of the ghosts that are lighting candles now, they cannot risk losing so many men out there, yet they're continuing to have their scouting missions, and they're decreasing the amount per scouting mission, only increasing like the mortality rate of them.
Yeah, that does seem pretty wasteful, ridiculous, counterintuitive. What are they getting out of these scouting missions if everybody dies? Are they getting any information?
Nylon's bad.
Yeah, I mean that you would get that information from your scouts not returning. People are dying. Let's send more scouts, see if it keeps happening. Maybe this time they won't.
Keep in mind this will only be for scouting. Avoid combat at all costs. Do you hear me, boy? Henry hands William the piece of paper. Go on, he said, slightly lauded. Alegord just arrives as William passes him. Well, boy, you do have a habit of rudely interrupting, don't you? I thought you were like to tell me my tasks, sir, Alegord said. I expect you to know your tasks. You don't need your mother to tell you, do you?
What?
Henry said sarcastically.
What the? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wasn't he just...
Yeah.
What? Wasn't he just telling him what to do? And then he shows up and now he's telling him he's not going to tell him what to do because he should already know. What?
Yeah.
Who was he? Was he talking to William?
He was
William taking those three?
He was talking to William with the paper and the three men.
Okay.
but
Okay.
he had Alegord following behind them. And then when he asked for his tasks, yeah.
He hasn't been given tasks yet. Oh my lord.
Wait,
Okay.
are we also talking about the mimes tonight as well?
No, that'll be next week, unfortunately.
Okay. Oh man, that's a good one.
Oh lord, what is that?
There are mimes in the castle.
Oh lord, they don't even have a cleaning crew, but they got good cooks and mimes. All the castle needs.
He used the word mummery, which is a very old. It's an old term from like the 18th century that means mime.
Yeah, mummers, a mummer's farce. Okay. Well, I think he looked some stuff up at least, not the
But
paper or
why?
the vegetables.
Why would he look up mimes in the castle?
He looked up Bailey's and he looked up old mime name. Yeah, no, they need entertainment. Duh. They got rats and bugs biting on them. They need to be entertained, even though they're so joyful already. So joyful and happy.
Yes, sir, as Alegord stands tall and firm, soon making his departure as well to his tasks.
What tasks? I guess we'll find out.
Misk.
He does know, apparently.
Soon William gathers Thomas, John, and Simon from the bailey. The three make the proper preparations for the journey past the wall, gathering food, water, and some basic supplies. They ready up their horses at the stables and make haste for the drawbridge. Met at the gates by a guard, William signals them to release the gates as the gatekeepers lower the drawbridge. The scouts quickly made their way through the gate, heading outwards north of the castle. That is the end of chapter 2.
Okay. Rumors and more.
Chapter 3, Rumors and More. The focus of this chapter is Galahad.
No way.
I want you to take specific note of this when you're thinking about like an author's perception. Get out of here. Author's perception of their story.
Mm. Summer is crisp and warm, unlike the other seasons, and the heating rays are harsher than the ice storms. Wait, no, they aren't. No. See, I live in Las Vegas, one of the hottest places on earth. The winter is still worse. Like I can cover myself up in the winter and it still hurts. But in the summer, I can just get like a sun hat, and there's a nice breeze. Everything's fine.
It
The author.
doesn't seem to grasp the concept of deserts.
Wait, is Galahad in a desert? What's he doing?
No, not yet.
Okay. So this
The
is
desert will be in the chapter after this one.
what the heck? What the heck even is that though? Talking about, I guess he's just describing the seasons, but I guess the sun can be pretty harsh. But an ice storm is no fun. The wind, ugh, it hurts. It's just pain. Okay. I've just been dealing with harsh elements out here for a long time.
It was the start of summer, crisp and warm unlike the other seasons. The beating rays of the sun are harsher than the ice storms of winter. While the glowing light casted of day was much more radiant than that of spring, even the wood spirits were far more active compared to the fall. The day had come, but not without its fair share of troubles. A
What
man
are the
was
wood
spot.
spirits?
There are now another race of beings, wood spirits.
He just inserts stuff randomly, I swear.
It seems like they're spoken of as though they're just a regular thing, so it doesn't seem a religious idea.
Fucking wood spirits.
You know, all those wood spirits moving around. Does he have like random monsters? Is this straight like fantasy? Random monsters and wood spirits and all things roaming around?
Not really.
At times, it's very hard to tell.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if they ran into like orcs and we just never heard about it. Or dragons. or anything, really.
There are dragons.
Okay. Because it seems like he only thinks the humans, elves, and giants are the important ones to mention, while all these other super powerful and interesting races and creatures do exist, but he's not going to talk about them in the prologue or anything.
Yeah, there are dragons, and there are a group of dragon riders. They are the Corgians.
Okay, so I guess we could just treat the prologue as a very specific legend just to give us some basic information, but not as a this is what exists in the world kind of thing. We kind of have to figure that out as we go. But we can add wood spirits to that list.
I mean, maybe?
Maybe, unless he is just being like metaphorical in some way. The spirit of the woods is more lively.
A man was spotted, all bloody and wounded in the west. A young knight from the western fortress of Hardwood, further down the region where the border lies. The fortress that's near the demon's lands. A terrain of horror that normal folk dare not to venture to. It did not take long for word to spread throughout the whole region. Whispers and mumbles of what happened to the poor lad. Most naturally assume it was the demons who shredder him apart, though the truth remains unknown.
So is this Hardwood was the one he was talking about? William? Or no?
At first he was talking about Hardwood Fortress, and then he also mentioned Harwood Fortress.
Okay, it's probably the same thing, but that's not like beyond the wall, that's to the west now, or from where Galahad is? Is that just another fortress along the wall, maybe?
Yeah, it's another fortress along the wall.
Okay, so Galahad is to the east of that, at least we know.
Yes.
Get some vague ideas here.
The rumors did not die down as they quickly spread from one town to the next. Eventually, they're making their way to Galahad, the lord of the Golden District. He knew the word would not stop there, and eventually would make their way to the king, so he decided to see to the matter himself.
What, a wounded guy? Is that what
Yeah.
word is spreading, that a guy is wounded?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the rumor of a knight that's bloody and wounded, just running. That's
Guess
spreading.
that's not a common thing. Even with all the people disappearing and dying, and are there still kingdoms and wars? I don't know.
There are no wars currently.
Okay. No highwaymen, no troubles these knights could come across that everybody already knows about.
Oh,
Like,
there
come
are a
on.
ton of bandits and highwaymen.
Like, come on, there's like a million reasons a knight could be wounded, and they all should know about this wall to the north with dangerous things beyond. It's like he's trying to do the whole White Walker tease, but
He is.
everybody should know about it already. If it's not like they haven't been seen in thousands of years. It was like 50 years ago, but also
Yeah.
they've been fighting and disappearing against them. Okay, so nobody knows they're there, but people have been disappearing. So this is like the first guy that made it back alive.
They know and don't know about the demons.
It's so ham-fisted. It's so strange.
He set forth at once to see the man, but not without some of his personal company. He rode alongside 5 of his best men, including Skolad, the knight's captain of his personal watch. Not to mention his 2 eldest sons, who set out as well, Askeladd and Korg.
Oh my god. Korg?
Korg.
What is this?
One of the about 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's honoring his king. That's all it is. He's honoring his king by naming his son Korg.
There are 8 variations of people named Korg. There is the Kingdom of Korgon, and the group of people known as the Korgians.
No. That's too confusing. Korg is the king of the... What is the Malahad? What is that? Malkion? What is it?
So Korg the Conqueror unified all of the 12 separate kingdoms into the Kingdom of Maladin, which we are currently in, about 40-ish years or so.
But the Korg king, the Korgon king...
Korgrad? Or what do you mean? Well, he disconnected.
Fucking, how many... did Korg conquer everything? Because I'm super confused these days about that, honestly.
So Korg did, at least in terms of this continent, excluding Rialan. So he did succeed in that. It's just that it was one unstable fucking country.
I just... So is Korg from Maladin, or is he from across the sea where the other Korgians live?
We don't know.
That's going to drive me nuts.
Yeah, the author never explained that. He just, here's Korg. So why would he go out of his way to stop see to the rumor himself?
That's actually a good question.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like, why would the rumor of... To repeat, a man was spotted, all bloody and wounded in the west. A young knight from a western fortress. And yet that's some sort of, like, super interesting thing that spread throughout the region.
I guess, hang on a second, is the guy running, is that the body?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Is he in full armor too? He's just, no wonder he died.
Well, you see, his problem was that his armor wasn't made out of solid gold.
Dude, this story is just mind-numbing.
It's abysmal, to say the least. And would anyone really even care or like have knowledge of these fortresses if they're all shitholes? Because if Clifton is the best, then that is a shitty just set of defensive places.
I'm just under the impression that nobody actually knows about the fortresses because there's like 3.
I do like the term shredder him apart.
Dude, I was about to die. Fucking shredders. Oh,
The author.
oh, God.
I don't see why Galahad would remotely care.
I would not, I wouldn't get it either.
The author.
He's just trying to have something happen, quote unquote, exciting happen every chapter, and it's just the goofiest shit ever.
Because while we're still waiting, Eddard Stark in Game of Thrones, the main reason why he went to King's Landing, basically the capital of Westeros, was because his friend, like childhood friend, was the king, and he tagged alongside and went over there. And it was only then, like when some weird shit was going on, that he started looking into things and sort of investigating the shit that was forming like the main reason for the story. This is just some guy that heard someone was injured and like decided that that was his fucking problem.
Yeah,
The author.
character motivations are severely lacking. It's like
The author.
watched Game of Thrones once at 3 times speed and just was like, yeah, I got this.
It kind of seems like that. Immediately underneath that, it goes, this was the first time Askeladd traveled up west along his Lord Father. Which, first, it shouldn't be the term Lord Father, just alongside his father. Second, that, like, this switches over, I guess, to switch focus over to Askeladd for a moment. Because it notes with the only thing keeping him content was the thought of his horse. Which would mean it's going from, like, his perspective.
I am returned.
Excellent.
How high? Did you take a break?
No.
Okay.
We were just trying to fill up time.
Makes sense. All right. Where you got? Where we at?
We're still at the same spot. Yeah. So yeah, there's mini Korgs, and that's a thing. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Yeah.
This was the first time Askeladd traveled up west along his Lord Father. He hardly ever ventures outside his home unless it's for a grandeur or splendid occasion. He seemed to dread the long ride, with the only thing keeping him content was the thought of his horse. He caressed the horse's head as he rode. Korg, on the other hand, attended willingly as he saw fit to journey with his father. He thought the chance would be prime to gauge how he handles manners. So I was just talking about it while you were gone. So in Game of Thrones, Eddard has a reason to be in King's Landing. He rides with Robert over there, and it's only when he gets to King's Landing that he starts discovering and looking into the shit that sort of sets up the series. Whereas
he never even really gets into the freaking White Walkers or anything.
Well, not the White Walkers, but sort of a lot of like the hidden stuff that was the actual Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, all the Lannister nonsense.
But then in this, like, the bastard's father gets involved just because there's news of some injured dude, and he's determined to make it his business.
Is he like even near the capital? And what's he getting involved in? What's going on?
Well, it's the rumor of the injured soldier, and he decided that he would make that like his issue before it gets to the king.
Yeah, okay, because no soldiers have been injured for decades,
or at least for like 6 months since the last Civil War / World War.
Okay, it's just such a small thing to become a rumor that makes him take action.
Yeah,
an injured man, like that guy must be like flayed alive with his skin hanging off.
The man in question had been taken to Henry dwelling in Whale Harbor. Galahad hardly ever visited his brother since he was sent away during the naming of his lordship.
Wait a dang old second. So he's got a brother named Henry too?
Yes.
I thought we were talking about Henry at the castle for a second.
No. There's a second Henry.
This is Whale Harbor Henry.
This is Henry Galot.
Why?
Since then, Henry Galot gained control of Whale Harbor over his marriage to Aldith Balin. The trip was nearly 3 days in length. There were only a few inns in sight from the Lord's Manor to Whale Harbor. The men made sure to use those inns hastily when they came across them, making quick rest stops in order to quicken the journey. Does taking short breaks speed up your journey? I would think it would just help you recuperate your energy.
Well,
You would just
as opposed to long breaks, I imagine. But
well, I get that, but the author notes there were only a few inns in sight, so I mean, you would take your breaks when you needed to, regardless.
I mean, you kind of have to take breaks, but I guess they really wanted to get there. They really wanted to see why this knight was injured.
When they set foot in Whale Harbor, the sights of large pieces of wood stump him.
Boy, that was the entire travel from where Galahad was to Whale Harbor.
Yeah.
They stopped a few times quickly. Now they're there.
It's a 2-sentence paragraph. It's a pretty good journey.
Very anticlimactic travel.
I'm just going to add that too. The wooden yards of the harbor were vast and large. It seems as if almost all the forests of Maladin were kept in these small lots. The balsamic scent coupled with the breath of horses mingled in the heat of summer as Galahad rode through the large fabrications of the harbor with his men and sons firmly behind. A faint draft could be felt coming from the shores.
Balsamic, like the dressing?
You read that and tell me what it's supposed to mean.
I have a feeling it's like... I had the word in my head when you first said it, but I forget it now.
Like a balmy breeze or something like that?
Either that or like balsa wood, but even then I don't think that's the word, but something like that. Maybe it's balsa wood.
Askeladd moved closer to one of the ships in construction, his hand reaching out. Ah, what a beauty. The wooden horses of the sea. Oh, I heard the tales.
Wooden horses of the sea? No, that is not any way I've ever heard of a ship referenced.
Actually, wait, come to think of it, didn't the Dothraki consider the ships wooden horses?
That's probably where it came from. 'Cause I would assume they would compare them to the carts rather than the horse.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just funny. The horses of the sea.
He had finally donned a smile since the start of the trip.
That man didn't smile the whole trip there.
Nah. Skolad moved behind him. I trust that you do. Ships that wander too far from the shore tend to not make it back in one piece. Skolad eyes lean off to the pile of torn and destroyed ships in the distance as Askeladd eyes follow closely.
Why are we?
Oh, here we go.
Why are we focusing on where everybody's eyes are? All right, hold on. What was he saying? I trust that you do too. What did Galahad say?
What a beauty, the wooden horses of the sea. Oh, I heard the tales. Followed by,
Okay.
I trust that you do.
I
Ships that wander
you
too
have
far.
heard the tales, I guess.
That's if you can't steer, of course, Askeladd jested.
Oh, what a foolish boy.
Well, if you can ride a ship as well as you can ride your horse, then I trust you'll do fine, Skolad snarkily replied.
There's a big difference between using a boat and using a horse.
I don't know if you'd call it, well, I guess you'd say riding a ship, but generally I think riding involves not doing anything. You'd be
wouldn't
sailing
it be
a ship.
captaining or controlling or...
He could have just said manning the vessel.
Yeah.
Like just riding on a boat, you really don't got to do much.
Galahad stood still, examining the large mass of timber. He knew what a ship had looked like, but the ships being produced at Whale Harbor were much too large to be considered such. He thought his brother had at least a small army of ships.
What?
And
Wait. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. So he wasn't. Wait. What? I don't know. Go back up a little bit. Hold on. So he is having a large mass of timber. He knew what a ship looked like, but the ships being produced were too large to be considered ships?
yes.
And he thought that he had at least a small army of them? What does that have to do with the size of the ship? Oh, okay,
well,
no, it's just extra added on. He thought there would be more, but also he says they're too big to be considered ships.
that's an inclusion. That's not a comparison. He's stating that from what he's seeing, he thinks his brother had at least a small army of ships.
Are you sure? Because it seems like he's doubting. It seems like he's, I don't know. It seems strange. He thought that he had.
Well, that's the thing is he's still examining what he's being producing.
Oh, that's just a weird paragraph.
He then saw a small boy, ever so curious, climbing up to the top of a ship relentlessly. Oh, he sure is nimble, Galahad said. He thought the boy seemed so full of life.
Bring him to me. Give me that boy.
Winbert replied, he sure is. The boy is sure quick on his feet like a cat, climbing up on ships and whatnot.
Okay, Wimbert, coming out of nowhere.
I was getting ready to mention that. Who is Winbert?
He's just this guy, you know.
He's in the dock. He's building ships or something. He's there.
Yeah.
Just no reference to him, but he speaks and comes out of the...
Askeladd starts to laugh. A cat, Wimbert, he said, turning his head to
How
him.
does he know who Wimbert is? We know, I guess, but how does he know?
Well, at least a cat has 9 lives. The boy does not. The boy moves his foot, one at a time, carefully moving forward in the unstable piece of word.
Oh God, is this the Brand moment? Is he going to break his leg?
Just to repeat, because that just sounds wrong, especially the last part. The boy moves his foot, one at a time, carefully moving forward in the unstable piece of word.
Oh, man. He's hopping on one foot because he moves his foot one at a time, moving towards a piece of word. Ooh, boy.
He then quickly noticed the strange men looking at him as he turned his head at the sound of a call. A woman started to yell, "Hendrik, come now, it is story time."
Why is it story time?
Again.
Why is it story time again? At the dockyard. What? Why is it story time at the dockyard again?
Hendrik the boy suddenly jumps down from the ship, his feet landing foot first as he sprints towards the home with a joyful expression of excitement.
Jesus, he jumped from the top of one
He
of
was
these
at the
ships
top.
that are so massive they can't even be called ships.
He was at the top and he just jumps. He should be fucking dead.
Is he a Khajiit?
I think this story is just hell, and everyone in the story is just ghosts. That would at least explain the demons.
The demon and the ghost candles. We've got some evidence.
And don't forget to tend to the sheeps and cows once your father is done with his stories, the mother said.
Why is the father telling the stories? And in the dockyard, or is it the mother came to get him at the dockyard, and now he's going somewhere else to hear stories, and then to tend to the sheep and cows?
Yeah.
Why is his father telling stories instead of tending the sheep and the cows?
Yes, mother, the boy replied back. Galahad thought it strange. The woman stood at the
aren't
door.
the only one.
Stood at the door of Henry, and the boy entered. Wait.
Oh shit, it's Henry's son.
Alegord thought it strange. The woman stood at the door of Henry, and the boy entered the home as if it's his own.
The Henry's house is also called Henry.
Then the realization clicked. The boy and mother were no strangers, but family. How does it take that long to go, oh, yeah.
Like, where's Henry's house? Right in the docks?
It's just right there.
Right next to the big ships in the dockyard. And he also has sheep and cows near his house, near the dockyard. Boy, they got some strange landscapes there. Imagine he walked all the way from the dockyard with the boy and the no, she was in the doorway calling to the boy, wasn't she? It looks like.
Yeah, she was near them.
And they were at the ships, so he could literally stand at the top of a ship and hear a call from his mother from the door of Henry's house, which is also called Henry because of that mistake.
The house is just called a Henry.
Welcome to Henry House. I'm Henry. Okay, well, I guess it really is a really compact little harbor.
But again, he hears Hendrik, and then he has a realization finally click in his mind. The boy and the mother were no strangers but family. Henry's wife, Aldith, and his son, Hendrik.
No, he didn't even
but
hear
he heard
Henry.
the fucking... He heard it!
No,
he heard it!
Wait. Nobody said Henry, did they?
No, they said Hendrik. And then he could hear the voice of the woman.
No, so he knows Henry's house. That's I guess he knows what Henry's house looks like. So if he looks and sees the woman yelling from Henry's house,
He knows that his brother that he's going to see has a son named Hendrik. And he last saw his brother shortly after getting married to his wife, who is calling out for a kid named Hendrik. And it took him all the way up until he saw the kid walk into the house, see the woman standing at the door of Henry, and then go inside for him to go, oh.
He is the father of Gallagher, okay? You know there's something off there. You know there's something wrong.
He soon dismounted from his horse, followed by Korg and then by Askeladd. Askeladd took a brief moment to gently stroke his horse.
Oh, he did.
Stay here and keep an eye out. I should only be gone a moment, Galahad said to Winbert and his men. Winbert and the men stood on horse by the door and kept watch of the home.
Okay, that's impressive. They've got good balance. Is Winbert Skolad, maybe?
No, because Skolad's been referenced as a different person, or at least by a different name.
I don't know. That might be why he came out of nowhere. Maybe it's like his last name. He just changed it. Because he has men now, and they're waiting on him, which I think was Skolad's job, so I'm wondering.
Now, we're coming across, and it's the next two sentences, but I really want you to listen carefully. The home was the same as most common homes, only bigger by tenfold.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a large house, but it's the same as the small houses.
It's 10 times the size of a common house, but it is the same as a common house. It's also directly beside a dockyard.
And has a pasture for sheep and cows. Directly next to a dockyard, so there's fertile land directly across from the dock, and a large house and pasture in the middle of this harbor city, maybe.
It's supposed to be like a town or city.
Okay, so he took over the center of this city. He took it over, built him a nice big house, a bunch of pasture land.
Still, the home was much smaller than his manor, but he knew that was the home of his brother.
Yes, Henry House.
He enters the home.
Details.
Cows and sheep might be somewhere else. Maybe he's got a pasture elsewhere.
Maybe.
Because that would make. Well, then again, I don't know, how old is Hendrik? Because if she's just going to send him off alone to pastures far away,
enough to just be considered a child.
So it probably is attached to the house. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out.
He enters the home, soon followed by Korg and then Askeladd. Korg's large figure lingers over that of his father as Aldith quickly welcomes them. Her face looks worried and says, "I'm sorry, but my husband is telling my son a story. It'll only be a moment." Her voice shakers a bit.
The son just walked in. What is this story time that is so sacred?
Shakers a bit.
She's got some nervous twitches.
Aldith, you look well. Do not worry. I wouldn't want to trouble my brother telling his son a tale now.
Oh, so important, this story time. Again, happens many times.
It's the holy story time.
As he has many tales to tell, his Hendrik in the Henry house.
As she heard those words, she then understood who these men in front of her were.
Oh my god, no way.
Galahad, she said, shocked. She didn't know who these people were. They just barged into her house.
Oh, that's why she was so fucking shakery. How do you just notice him? You were literally like, what is the scenario here? You know him by sight, but you didn't know him by sight until after you welcomed him in your house?
Yes, but of course, Galahad replied as he grabbed her hands, checking the goosebumps. Why are you so fearful, my lady? Is it Korg? He chuckled. I know he can be a poser. You know at the age of 8, he could already face most men older than him. Korg gave a grunt.
Shit.
Korg gave a grunt while Galahad chose to ignore.
Why did he ignore Korg's grunt?
Korg at 8 years old is just taking on guys that are like in their 40s.
Oh yeah, he's a monster. We got a regular the mountain.
You say that. You say that.
You say that.
But then I asked the author, and he basically described Korg as a nice mountain.
Well, you can kind of see he's just sort of implanting everybody just in this small cast of characters.
Oh no, it is not, she said nervously. The seas as we know it aren't the same as they once were. How so? Galahad asked, wondering. Let me ask you this. Why do we carry ships at our harbor? Galahad thought about it. To carry off spices to the faraway kingdoms.
Is that all they do? Is that all the ships do?
That is the sole purpose of these ships.
What the hell? What is this land? What is this world? All they do is trade in spices. Nothing else. Only spices.
There's no real reference to spices again, so I just have to presume it's the spice melange. Like he just ripped that too. Like he just found something else to steal.
The most important product from Whalebone Harbor is their spices.
That is the sole purpose of these ships. But what if they cannot do that, she said.
And you ain't got no spice trade.
Do you know what is going on out there? The ships are being lured by the purple light each and every day and torn apart. The purple light, Galahad said unknowingly. His brother started to speak from the corner to the children that sat around. Galahad's ears listened sharply. There was a group of children gathered around the man as if it was some sort of spectacle. The holy story time. They all sat with eyes full of wonder as he spoke.
Wait a second. Did they just randomly go to Henry? What is
I mean, it's story time. You know about story time.
What happened with the purple light?
The man spoke in such a way that the child couldn't help but be amazed by his stories. With the rough waves of the purple sea behind us, we sailed further down north. There are darker lands there, winds that are breaths from God himself, blown to shred our ships apart. But then we found it, the island of the dead elves. An island with monsters far worse than the likes of the demon lands, he said. The man he hardly recognized by the way he spoke sparked memories of his past. He spoke in such fondest that only his brother could pass in his tongue. Then the realization clicks. The man telling stories to the children is his younger brother, Henry.
Okay.
What?
Galahad, my man. You're not very good at recognizing anything.
He can't remember shit.
He's sitting there staring, listening to his brother's voice in his brother's house. Who else would it be?
What happened next? One of the joyful children asked him. Does the Black Island really exist? Another child asked out of pure curiosity. Do elves still live there? A boy started to inquire about the elves of the island. Are there really monsters there? Young Hendrik said, his eyes a gleam of worry when he asked his question. Henry gave him a glance and continued his story. The man gave a smile. Ah, but the elves do remain there. Their spirits haunt the island as black phantoms bent on sucking the life of any unwelcome traveler who enters the islands. We fought hard and proud, but in the end we couldn't face the hardships of the Black Island. His face gave off a discreet look of sorrow. Not many of us returned home. Young Hendrik's eyes filled back with wonders. You're a true warrior. You're really an outstanding dad. I know, aren't I? Henry said with a smirk on his face. You know, one day when you're old enough, you can travel with me to the purple seas and black islands, and we'll conquer the islands together.
Uh-huh.
Is he offering his son a ride to an island full of wraiths?
I think he's planning on conquering it with his child.
Yeah,
Someday.
pretty much.
Is
So
Henry secretly Palpatine?
So they can go to the island still. So they have
Allegedly.
like, did he say like the southern seas or something? Are they
The purple seas.
the purple seas? Okay, so they are in that same kingdom. We have more confirmation. No,
No, because in the prologue they're named the Bulgar Seas.
well, they might have changed. Maybe.
Really? I want to go now, he said. You're far too young, and it seems to be getting a little late. Why don't you and your friends move on now? Hendrik and the other children quickly rush out. Their spirits were indeed youthful as they went on from stories to adventures outside. My husband, you have a guest, Aldith said to Henry. By the gods, if it isn't Galahad, he said with euthanization.
Oh my god. Oh, by the way, I decided to look up Purple Sea. That's a fish.
That's a fish?
Yes, a fish that's born female and turns into a male as it gets older.
I see.
The author.
Oh, God. Just,
Additionally, we know that this is like solely a Galahad problem because his brother was immediately able to remember the look of Galahad. We also know that Henry, I guess, wants to euthanize him.
there's a Dr. Kevorkian in this world.
Brother, I haven't seen you in such a while. He gave him a big hug. Galahad's eyes shifted to his wife. Ah, yes, I see you met the lady as well. The young, admirable boy you saw before was Hendrik.
I was occupied for a second. I'm back.
Okay, so basically we discovered that Henry Galot, Galahad's brother, does not have a problem with memory. Because he was immediately able to recognize his brother just by look.
Ah.
we discovered that Henry wants to euthanize Galahad. And then he gave Galahad a hug, and then Galahad started staring at his brother's wife.
He probably doesn't remember who she is now that he's looked away from her, so now he's trying to figure it out again.
Yes, I met him. He was a rather adventure lad, climbing ships and wood alike.
And able to jump 60 feet, 80 feet, and land perfectly.
Aldith eyes. What?
Well, I was just saying it's probably a lot higher than that. I don't know.
I mean, if it's big enough to make it, like, to the point where a dementia-ridden man doesn't recognize it as a ship.
Well, I think we can all say Galahad
doesn't know what ships are.
Yeah. He's just got problems all around.
Aldith's eyes immediately popped wide open. He was climbing the ship again. Henry, we told him not to. She turned his head towards him. What? Wait a minute. She turned his head towards him.
She grabbed a hold of that sucker. Just turned it.
Yeah, but towards himself?
He broke his neck. She twisted it up. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about Hendrik. He can jump off the top of a ship and he's fine, so he's pretty much invincible.
I know, but what can we do? The boy is an adventurous lad. Takes after his father, Galahad smirks. Perhaps too much, Aldith responds with irritation seeking from her voice. Oh, and these two behind me are my sons, Korg and Askeladd, Galahad says. Random line. What is this purple sea and black islands? Telling the boy nonsense, Galahad said. Black islands and purple seas. Galahad heard these rumors all too well. He thought them as the same as the demons' lands. Demons who would leave Doron Island during its final hours. Wait. What does that mean?
I assume like nighttime, maybe. Wait, no, hold on.
Is he trying to imply that they're going to leave at a certain time?
No, hold on. So
he knows the legend. He knows the legend nobody knows.
But yeah, here's the thing though. He thought them as the same as the demon lands. So is this trying to say that he knows? He says they're nonsense, but he thinks of them as the same as the demon lands, which I guess he believes to be true since he's going after some bloodied asshole who ran from them.
Maybe he doesn't, but he forgot that he doesn't because he's Galahad, so he's going after it anyway.
Do you believe in demons then? Of course, they lurk in the demon lands, north of the region. Every common men know of them, Galahad responded.
Wait, why was Henry asking him if he believes in them if he just said he was just basically mocking him for telling his son stories of those lands? But I guess...
So is it fair to believe that black phantoms exist? Henry responded.
But even common men know of the demons now. So everybody knows demons are real. So what is he worried about the rumor of a man getting hurt? What? That's not tracking. It's not tracking.
Askeladd chuckle. Period. Demons, black phantoms, this world truly is mad to believe in such things. I thought you to be a wise father.
Yet everybody believes them and knows that. Now, Askeladd has his own version of autism or something.
Either that or like the dementia of Galahad just makes him think that everyone else thinks these demons are real.
Oh my lord, you can't tell who knows what because both of them are very unreliable.
Galahad, slightly annoyed by his foolish sound, responds, period. I did not come here to be nagged by your foolish remarks. Askeladd gave a rude look. Boy, you hardly know the world at 21. Do you take me for a fool to come for a... What? God. Boy, you hardly know the world at 21. Do you take me for a fool to come for a man who claims to be attacked by demons? I know these monsters exist.
That's a contradiction. What? Okay, no, hold on. So, oh my god, that is so like backwards and double redundant. So, do you take me for a fool to come for a man who claims to be attacked by demons? He's saying that because he knows these demons exist. So, Askeladd is basically saying he's a fool for coming to a man who claims to be attacked by demons because they don't exist, but he knows that they exist.
But also, he sees the rumors of the Black Islands and phantoms to be the same or like just as true as the rumors of demons, which he thinks that rumor is horseshit.
Yeah. So he believes it's just a rumor about, so that they aren't elves, they're just the regular demons like the ones in the north, I guess. He doesn't think there's any special demons. Maybe he's like hinting at like the 7 sins. Maybe he's saying he thinks that's bullshit and that's what the guy was hinting at. I don't think so, but I don't know. Maybe he doesn't believe in elves.
Korg quickly escorted Askeladd before he could say something stupid.
Also, the go back up a little bit. There's one part we sort of glossed over that was funny. That I did not come here to be nagged by your foolish remarks. You brought him with you. He wasn't there waiting for you. You fucking brought him with you. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That just got me.
He went on his horse for comfort. Charming son you got there, Henry said.
He's a horse fucker. He loves that horse too much.
He takes after his mother, not in the best of ways, Galahad said. Henry chuckled. Hopefully your son doesn't end up like him. I trust you did not come here to discuss sons, Henry said. But of course not. I came for the man. The man? I see. Henry's eyes turned dim. He died not too long ago. He's dead? Galahad's voice raged in anger. He soon calms down. What do you mean he's dead? I'm afraid he died just days ago before your arrival. Come, brother. Galahad followed Henry around the back of his house. He saw a dead body surrounded by wrapping and such.
Wait, what was that?
Okay, I'll repeat, all the way up to the top of this page. He's dead. Galahad's voice raged in anger. He soon calms down. What do you mean he's dead? I'm afraid he died just days ago before your arrival. Come, brother. Galahad followed Henry around the back of his house. He saw a dead body surrounded by wrapping and such.
Okay, I thought they just had like just the dead body laying there with nothing. Okay, they wrapped it up at least.
But it's just in the backyard.
It's wrapped up. It's just laying in the back. Yeah.
They just have a mummy out there.
Oh my god, they don't got him stored anywhere. He's under the sunlight, decaying.
Like, who the fuck just leaves a corpse out in the backyard?
We don't even know what situation. Like, is it laying on a table? Is it just laying in the dirt? Like, what's going on there?
Oh man, I love the second sentence too. We tried and we thought he would recover, but the pain was too much and he died in his sleep.
He wouldn't be sleeping.
Yeah. It was a painful sleep.
Yeah, he couldn't handle the sleep pain.
Galahad was disappointed. Did he say anything? Yes. The demons are marching inwards, south to the capital. Slothfulness and pride alike. So, that's quite a thing to just tell someone.
So he told them the demons are coming.
Yeah. Also, why is it just pride, but then sloth has slothfulness?
Well, that is a random alteration there. Oh,
Chapter 4. It's on the exact same page. This chapter focuses on Korg. Korg often wonders about the demons. There were said to be monsters that rival men in strength. He even heard that demons can match the power of the giants if there were a bunch of them lumped together. What does that mean? And if it means something, why would it matter?
Demon fusion.
I mean, do they just merge like the thralls from the movie Slither? Why does it matter what their strength is as a group? At least in this context.
Well,
Nonetheless, he
hold on.
knew how... What?
Yeah, I mean, the giants weren't very powerful. They kind of all got defeated at once by a small group of humans.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking weak. Nonetheless, he knew how men tended to bluff, to make lesser men feel in awe. After all, there is no greater strength than that to slash off a demon head clean off.
Ugh.
However, such stories made him wish that he could face them in battle. Nothing more would make Korg relish in happiness. But he knew his father wouldn't allow it. To venture beyond the borders to the demon lands is forbidden unless it is your title to do so. In that regard, he envies his bastard brother, Alegord. It's been nearly 3... Let me just catch you up here. 3 days since his lord father sent his bastard brother to the castle. That means that they took off the exact same day that Alegord, the exact same day they sent Alegord away.
Seriously?
Because they traveled for 3 days. Meaning that if it's been nearly 3 days since his lord father sent his bastard brother to the castle, he had to have left that day. Or at least like as they were leaving, because it says nearly 3 days. "3 days of him near the region where men dare not venture. 3 days Korg could have spent knocking every demon in sight." Also, just as a reminder, it took over a day for Alegord to get to the castle, which means he would have been there for 2 days. Not 3 days.
Yeah, I keep having to do a couple different things, but I'm back again.
Alright, basically, this chapter started off at the exact same time they kicked Alegord out to head towards the castle. Or the last chapter, anyway.
Okay.
Because it says it's been nearly 3 days since his lord father sent his bastard brother to the castle. 3 days of him being near the region where men dare not venture. 3 days Korg could have spent knocking every demon in sight.
Well, did Korg want to go there?
How far back did you fucking leave?
I don't know because I was gone.
Uh,
I was kind of vaguely hearing it, but I don't remember.
Alright, basically Korg was talking about how he envied Alegord because he got to go and kill demons. And Korg thinks killing demons would be cool.
Didn't he say he didn't think they existed at the beginning of the chapter?
That was... I think it was just an instance where he was thinking that men tended to bluff and, like, state that demons were more dangerous than they really were.
Okay, so he wants to fucking beat some demons. He's ready. He thinks they're weak, and he can take them out.
The ride home from West Creek was rather long. This is the first time I think West Creek is mentioned.
That's the first time I've heard that name.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is West Creek? What is there?
What did they just ride back just now?
Unknown.
What is happening? Lord.
It allowed Korg to think much, and so he did. Every moment they
so
stopped.
Basically, Rail Harbor is like at West Creek or near it or some shit. I don't know. But now they got what they came for. There's no conclusion with Henry, and they all just rode back. Maybe West Creek is where they are supposed to be going. That's their home. Maybe he meant the ride back to West Creek.
It says the ride home from West Creek.
Yeah, maybe he meant to, unless West Creek is where Well Harbor was. Unless maybe it's just completely confused, and this is something separate from both places, and we have no idea.
Yeah. Every moment they stopped was a moment Korg thought of demons. Nothing else was on his mind but to battle them. They rode silently, which Askeladd didn't find appealing. "You know the mountains run very deep," he said, his eyes fixated on the large mountains at which they rode past. "They say our realm is the biggest, but yet they have to realize that our realm is mostly mountains," he chuckled.
What does that even mean?
I think he's saying that, like, everyone talks about the lands that their family, like, controls or has ownership of is the biggest, but he's complaining that, like, a lot of it is mountains and therefore isn't, like, a lot more difficult to obviously like farm or build
Yeah.
on.
So it's not as good as people think it is. Say mountains
Okay.
run deep.
Okay.
What does a mountain run deep mean?
Okay. Marlboro, or however you pronounce it, I need you to listen very fucking carefully at this sentence after this one. And who might they be? Korg said in a quick response. Well, everyone. The Realians, the Korgians, the men across the sea, and even the demons themselves. That means both Realan, which we know is on this continent, and Korgon is on this continent. Meaning Korgon is not a separate location. Meaning the author is a liar.
Unless maybe he wasn't just talking about his realm. Maybe he was talking about the entire continent of Alegord, his most mountain. And then all those other places are separate.
Well, okay, so Realan is a separate kingdom. Korgon is a separate kingdom. The Men Across the Sea is clearly a reference to like an outside kingdom. And Askeladd says even the demons themselves, even though Askeladd in the last chapter said he didn't believe in demons.
Yeah, it's hard to really parse the context there. If he's just talking about people on the same continent or not.
What's the thing is,
Realia was.
So, Realan is a separate kingdom, but it's located on the same continent.
Oh.
Korgon, the home of the Korgians, the author said was across the sea on a different continent. However, with there being a comma after them and then stating the men across the sea, it makes it sound like it's referencing the Korgians as being on the same continent.
That does seem like it.
And again, why would he say it, and even the demons themselves, if he doesn't believe in demons?
Everybody knows they exist, and everybody doesn't believe them, but everybody does.
And how would you know, Winbert said, chiming in during their conversation. I just know, Askeladd said with a smile.
There's that damn Windbird again.
Fucking Winbert. After all, not many foreigners dare travel into our kingdom. Not with all the pretty castles all around the borders.
Demonstrably not true.
Yeah. Also, Castle Clifton's a shithole. And it's the best one.
It's just in disrepair. It's the best one, but it's out of order.
Those pretty castles you mention are the reason you don't have to fight. Why you can sit on your ass all day and ride horses and fuck as long as you want, Korg said.
Oh, not hump. He went straight
Not
for it.
Askeladd chuckled back at Korg's witty response. He thought it was charming. And that you are right. I suppose I have something to thank them for. They were pretty convenient getting rid of that half-blood as well. Gala had ears sharper at Askeladd remark. You know the castles aren't just good for sending half-bloods. Some royals are sent there too, and it's considered a high honor. Askeladd took his word as a silent threat and pushed it no further. Still, he had to run his mouth. If not the castle, then something else. Korg hated this about his brother. He was the only person who he wished he could get rid of. He thought Alegord would have been better of a brother than he was. Perhaps Askeladd should have been sent off instead. Oh, the roads run so far, I wished it was shorter. My back aches so.
Well, Askeladd's really laying into him.
Korg, annoyed, gave him a rather firm response. For someone who loves horseback riding, you sure hate riding.
I think he just loves the horse.
Askeladd starkly replied back, "Oh, this isn't riding, this is simply traveling through miles of nothingness. I know it's quite similar for someone like you, brother." Galahad remained riding ahead, not paying any mind to the two. Winbert Eyes constantly glances at Askeladd and his foolishness.
Gotta be Skolad. It's gotta be. He's never been mentioned again. He just changed the names after a couple. After he got to Whalebone, whatever it was called.
Whale Harbor.
Yeah. See, I'm not good with names. The names just fall right out.
Oh, I know. How about a little song from me to you, dear brother? Korg started to think of new thoughts besides demons. A foe he considers in much need of his attention, his brother. Korg wished he could serve his brother's head on a plate with his tongue as a complimentary.
Holy shit!
Oh yeah, Korg is not as nice of a mountain as he seems.
And then he started to sing his tunes. A familiar song started coming out of his mouth. One Korg didn't find it particularly interesting to hear. Jesus.
Oh.
Over
All
these
right.
hard rock
Hold
mountains.
on now. Hold on. You gotta give it some of that singing tune. So here we go.
You're gonna do it?
Over these hard rock mountains, our horses travel so far. Our men so fatigued, and yet through caverns and pleasure houses alike, we find the comfort of day. Women and vine, hold on, women and vine, pleasures alike. The smooth silk skin coupled with the rich taste. Oh no, I think I can't hold my lust away another day. I don't think I can look away. They eyes tempt me so. I knew I was weak, perhaps not so much down there. Okay. What was that? Oh god.
Askeladd gave Korg a smirk. This part of his song he always hated.
Oh, so deep inside, I knew it felt too good. The young flowers cling to me so. Petals dance to the songs of love. Ah, sweet dear lust, what am I without thee? To move past these hard rock mountains, our horses must travel so far. That's just rambling on. Riding horses and fucking women.
Not just women. Look at the second line on that second part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a second. Ah.
Just gonna say, if Korg killed him, he would have done nothing wrong.
This was the song or poem you were talking about.
Yeah. I'm awfully sorry, brother. Is this song not to your liking? Said Askeladd. I could sing other tunes, perhaps something more accustomed to your ears.
He's just singing about lust. What is not to like for Korg?
From that moment to the end of the trip, the wishful sounds of the wind were replaced by harmonious insults coming from his brother.
Okay, he
He
gonna
wished-
die. He gonna get Korg ain't gonna handle that too much. Come on, man.
He just, as soon as he gets home, he takes Askeladd's head and shoves it in the fucking fireplace.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing.
He wished he would stop, but it never did. Winbert even rode up to distance himself from Askeladd.
Oh my god, what is this relationship? He can't get his brother to stop fucking singing and insulting him. What is going on there?
The journey back home wasn't long, but due to his singing, it felt like an eternity. When they eventually arrive at the entrance to the manor, Galahad signals him to stop.
Oh, finally. He didn't think to do it earlier.
Korg
man.
wished he did it a while back. He pulled his horse backwards before him. Regrettably, he knew what this meant.
It's not a car.
His father would not be entering the manor. So you're off then? Korg asked, already knowing the answer. Aye, Galahad said. That man's corpse isn't the only thing amiss. We're starting to lose contact with Fort Clifton as well. This only confirms my suspicions. Was there anything in chapter 1 or 2 that described Fort Clifton as not having contact with the outside world?
No.
I don't know. If there was anything, it would have been William talking to Henry about the forts. But he might have only mentioned Hardwood. I don't remember.
Yeah, they lost contact with the Hardwood Fortress, but that's it. And again, this is like maybe
Escalated.
6 days since they returned home. So 6 days later.
Oh, it's going down. Those demons are taking over everywhere now.
But also, the fact that Galahad knew this meant he either knew they were losing contact with Fort Clifton before they left, or while they were in Whale Harbor, which means it's been an additional 3 days. Also, what does it mean starting to lose contact with a fort in the medieval era? Like, what does it mean when you're starting to lose contact with them? Because I would assume that, like, there would be like messengers moving back or forth, or like trade, or like reinforcements, or like supply runs.
That's when the messengers get real disinterested and bored, and they come to you. I might tell you what's going on.
And that is, Korg said confidently. He already had an ideal of what he was saying, but the thought of his Lord Father announcing war was what he wanted. That a battle is coming, Korg. Galahad let out a tireless sigh. They should have slaughtered them 50 years ago. Why weren't there? Korg asked, wondering. Men are weak. When faced with monsters, they rather hightailed it and left, Galahad said.
Now they built a wall, I think.
A massive wall. Massive.
In 1 year.
Well, presumably at some point between 50 years ago and now.
I mean, if the demons haven't been invading since then, they probably built it 50 years ago. But I don't know. It's weird, because apparently they have been, but they haven't been. Everybody knows they're there, but nobody's been hurt by them yet except for that one guy and all the people who
Yes.
disappeared. But
Yeah.
they didn't know why those people were disappearing in demon-infested lands north. Nobody knew why. Henry couldn't make it out. He needed to scout some more. He needed one guy to survive to tell him why people were dying in those demon-infested lands that everybody knows are infested with demons.
And then I want to show you real quick. Give me a second. That's not relevant. Give me a moment.
That's pretty relevant.
That's just a picture of me whooping your ass.
That's kind of relevant. you got that last shot.
So this is a portion of the map that we have formulated as being what the world is. So from a rough guess, Hardwood Fortress is over here, Castle Clifton is over here, and Whale Harbor is way the fuck over here, with their manor being somewhere in this vicinity.
And Whale Harbor is on the other side of West Creek, apparently.
Yes. However, you see this gray bit here?
Is that a wall?
That is the wall.
So wait, are they to the southwest, where the wall doesn't cover?
Give or take.
Hmm.
So this wall does not go around the entire border of the Nylands or the Demon's Lands. Additionally,
It looks like it's pretty much just for Sunbury.
but even then, there's still this gap. Moreover, if we take this scale realistically, that wall is about 6 miles thick.
Jeez and criminy.
It is. It's certainly a wall.
That you could ride for hours from one side to from one edge to the other, not even counting how long it is.
So
You could make cities on top of that.
So he's saying that men are scared shitless and they ran away. And they did build a wall. They built a wall. But it is one fucking terrible wall.
Yeah, that doesn't really keep anything from happening. So why haven't the demons invaded before now? Why are the demons invading now when they could have invaded 50 years ago or longer and just taken over everything then? I mean, have their numbers been increasing? I wouldn't think so, but maybe.
Nah.
Because it seemed like they started out with a pretty good force and also the ultimate power to be able to destroy them no problem anyways. Unless maybe Korg scared them off because he can defeat everybody in a second.
In the blink of a second.
in the blink. I mean, Korg. He's the reason that everybody's still safe and alive. Maybe his health is failing, and now the demons are attacking because the Korg nuke is off the table. All speculation, of course. But why are they attacking now if they ran away before, even though it was their land?
I mean, they just didn't really feel like it.
That covers it. Feelings play a part, and they are still perfectly mentally capable and probably emotionally capable. So they just didn't feel like it. There we go. Now they're getting an itching. They say, well, we got all this power. We've just been sitting here for 50 years. Let's do something.
And the king isn't much different, Korg said. Has there been a single portion of this story so far where it's like someone asked, There have been plenty of statements with like a question mark. Like there have been plenty of questions, but I don't think I've yet to see like the ending of it being Korg asked or Galagard asked.
I think there was one with Galahad. I remember the part where he wondered after. I think he said wondering. Okay, no, never mind. That was another he said. Okay, I just pieced it out. There hasn't been, I don't think.
I mean, fucking hell.
I mean, I think you could just use said. I think it works.
Yeah, I mean, it technically works. The problem is that gets really fucking old and is not good writing at all.
Yeah, I'm on the fence on this. I really don't know. I've heard
Also,
said,
wouldn't you have to have asked when there's a question mark at the end? Because it's a question, not a
Yeah.
statement.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm with you on this one.
Skolad.
Wait up.
Skolad. There we go. Skolad's back. Skolad was annoyed at his statement. The king has a hard task.
Skolad and Windbird are probably just like both working there together, but they just maybe Windbird's more important because he seemed like he was walking next to Galahad. I don't know. They never talk about Windbird. They mentioned what Skolad was, but they didn't talk about Windbird. He just came out of nowhere.
Characters come and go in this story kind of at a high frequency.
They really do.
He's Skolad's brother. That's what we're going with. We'll just make it up ourselves.
It isn't easy ruling over a realm, as well as Maladin. Maladin is said to be the largest realm of all, making up most of the region of Alegord. To rule such a vast territory isn't easy. So Alegord isn't just the name of the world, it's not just the name of the continent, but it's also the name of a region.
Yeah, the region that Maladin is inhabiting, the realm of Maladin, which makes up most of the region of Alegord, which is on the continent of Alegord, where a house named Henry and Henry lives in is also maybe a part of.
On the world of Alegord.
I don't think the naming schemes worked too well, but
Wheel, if fucking hell. Wheel, if that may be true, why does he pick your brother as his knight captain over you? I heard you were a much better swordsman than Winbert. Truly a shame, Askeladd said. Winbert, slightly annoyed, took a moment to dwell. Korg knew he wanted to deny his brother, but not insult the king. Sometimes it is difficult to make such decisions in times of hardships, Winbert said.
He's back. They're both there.
Hardships, Askeladd lets out a whole laugh. I heard he sends nearly a fortune to his brother to throw parties at the Sunlands, while lands like the Pride Mountains are forced to incur such debt.
So Korg has a brother. Okay.
No.
The king.
Okay.
No?
Yeah, the king has a brother.
Yeah, King Korg.
No.
No?
No.
I thought Korg was the king.
Nope.
What is the king?
Is that have you not been paying attention?
I thought I was. What the hell is the king?
It's the king.
Yeah, and you said Korg was the king.
No.
And his 4 descendants.
No. I said Korg, about 40 years ago, unified the 12 kingdoms into a single kingdom and ruled over them, with his descendants ruling afterward.
All named Korg, right?
No.
No, okay. No, I don't remember this part at all.
That's because it wasn't in the story, it was in the notes. Look, just for right now, it's just the king.
Okay. He doesn't have a name?
No, not right now.
Okay. Okay, that's that was what was confusing me. Okay. I'm with you now.
Where are the Sunlands? Where are the Pride Mountains? And why does he just deal debt out to the Pride Mountains?
And that is the king's brother throwing parties, giving him money
Yes.
at the Sunlands. At the cost of the Pride Mountains?
Yes.
Maybe. Wait. Maybe, yeah. He takes the money from the Pride Mountains for his brother to throw parties at the Sunlands.
Wouldn't that just start a revolution? Like, if the king is just stealing your shit and just having his brother throw parties endlessly, wouldn't that piss off, like, peasants and commoners?
Depends on how much power he retains from his Corgian bloodline.
Well,
not Corgian.
We know
That's a whole nother
later. We know later, and it's just for the sake of like a quick reference here to like further this argument, that currently the kingdom is on the verge of splintering into 12 and starting a civil war again.
12 again, Civil War again.
Yeah.
How are these factions still around? I guess they just have no idea how to unify a kingdom. They just say they're unified, and then everybody still does their separate 12 areas thing.
Like, they've been through 5 civil wars and 1 half civil war, half world war.
Like, they should
over
have
the span of 40 years.
Kings should have no power whatsoever if they can just break apart whenever they want.
And now they're on the verge of falling apart again, but this king is just shrugging and sending fortunes to his brother to throw parties while slapping the debt onto some fucking realm or town in his kingdom.
And that's new places that we have no idea what they are.
Yes.
I wonder how much of this he actually makes up as he goes along.
Probably all of it.
I like the sound of that. Sunlands, okay. Pride Mountains, that could be a place. All right.
Enough, Galahad said, outraged. I have enough of your squabbling. And then it opens quotation marks again. I will be traveling to Iron Dawn to meet with the king.
What's Iron Dawn?
I guess Iron Dawn's the name of the capital?
That's right, Iron Dawn. Sounds familiar for some reason, but I'm not sure why.
What's the name of the keep on the Iron Islands?
No, that's way too long ago for me to remember.
Okay, it's Castle Pike. Okay.
I don't know,
He's clear on that one.
Iron Dawn. Well, now we know the capital too. Okay.
Iron Dawn is a story about the aftermath of the Trojan War. I don't think that matters.
No, it's just a generic name.
Surely he won't do a damn thing. He's a useless cunt, Askeladd said. Winbert gave him a glare. I shall take my leave. Winbert, you stay with these two to make sure they behave. Galahad's eyes shift to his sons. And of Mother? Korg briefly asks. That's it. That's the first one. That's the first non-said.
And only briefly.
Galahad gave a look and left. Korg knew that look all too well. He always gives that look when it concerns Mother. Galahad never seemed interested in her. They split ways, Galahad and the other 4 men to the city, while Korg, Winbert, and Askeladd home.
So Skolad went with Galahad.
Yes.
I guess those are just the 2 named men of the group.
I would think nearly 100 knights, at least, Askeladd said as he stared at Galahad riding off in the distance. 100 men, you said? Korg said, confused about what he meant. Oh no, Askeladd said, declaring his words wrong. Not men, knights, he repeats, correcting Korg. Father should have been escorted by 100 knights, not a mere 4 half-wits who I'm certain never swung a blade in their lives.
Why? I guess he's under threat on the way back to the capital, maybe?
I mean, maybe?
Either that
I
or
suppose a nobleman would be like a valuable like ransom thing, but
oh no, don't start with
100
that. Fuck him.
Not
the demons are gonna ransom me?
they ransom fucking no, what I mean is like setting aside the stupid knight ransom war bullshit. Like an actual like head of a noble family. I presume that would be like a good ransom for like coin or something. So it would be like a decent target along the road.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense. It's either
even
that
then,
or
100 knights.
100 knights.
Yeah, I need an army to protect me every fucking step I take.
Maybe it's some foreshadowing for the demons are going to come get them. But I don't know how or where any of this is going to happen or why it would happen on the way to the capital.
What's your point? Stop your riddles, Askeladd, Korg said.
Yeah, please tell us.
The king, when he is off and about, is accompanied by at least a few dozen men, but when our Lord Father is, he only brings a few. Why do you suppose that is? He is the king. That is why, as things... He is the king. That is why
things has always been.
Things has always been Askeladd.
That is why as things has always been. Obviously.
Okay, here we go. King of what exactly? The realm is practically fractured into 12. He is only a king in title alone.
Okay, so yeah, he doesn't do anything, but he has the hardest job. Keeping all the realm.
All right, again, still on the exact same page. We have Chapter 5, Into the Demon Lands.
Oh no, this is William, not Galahad.
This is William.
Not Gallagher.
Do either of you want to take a small break? This is the last chapter for this go-around.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. We get to hear about holes.
Hear about what?
So many holes.
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 Gaping holes, tight holes.
The Song of Holes.
William never liked the Demon Lands. The dry, barren, rocky wasteland of nothing, blanketed by a blinding sky as the sun's heat scorched what life was left and the shadows crept as night overtook them. Since his last 14 expeditions, though keep in mind everyone pretty much disappears or dies on each expedition, it had been proven to him that each troublesome trip after another was nowhere near worth the cost, and despite his countless visits, he was still a stranger here, and a stranger to the creatures that lurked nearby.
What are they trying to figure out there?
I
That there's demons? Because they have to know if he's been 14 times. They have to know there's demons there. Like, what are they after? Why is he just scouting but not supposed to fight? What is he... Like, what?
Oh, god damn it. Oh, god, that's going to be... The air itself, rich with the stench of death, period. And, as the men rode past the endless remnants of animal carcasses, whose bones were left standing. These bones are still standing.
Now that's a feat. Demons have the effect of just stripping them to the bone and leaving the bone standing.
William stood straighter on his steed. Does everyone stand on their horse when they ride them?
Yes.
I didn't notice, yeah. Oh god, that's hard to do. These guys are all incredible.
His tousled raven hair brushed over his forehead with the wind. I also believe that is the first description, or at least attribute, to William we've had. In the 5th chapter of the book and the 2nd chapter, where it is the focus of William.
Well,
and that's still all we know of his appearance, aside from the fact that he is a man.
Yeah, and likes to stare at the sky. And the other descriptors we know of women and roofs.
Well, I meant like physical, like just trying to get like
a
visual of this guy.
We get some personality though too. We got a little bit.
Thomas and John rode not too far behind, while Simon dawdled further back, his horse unsteady beneath him.
I don't think we learned anything about anybody except maybe Alegord, Korg, and now William. That's like the only 3 that have described anything.
I mean, do we know what Alegord looks like?
I don't remember, but I thought he would have at least like described his main character in the first.
I mean, you thought that he would have.
Yeah, I'm not sure though.
Did he?
Not sure. That's definitely not like even 20% sure on that one.
William slowed down, waiting as Thomas and John passed him and matched Simon's speed. A horse is only as good as its rider, William noted, his voice low but loud enough for Simon to hear. If the rider is frail at heart or uncertain, the horse will sense it. Simon's mouth twisted with insecurity as the message sunk in. You must learn to control yourself if you wish to control your horse. A laugh broke in their calm ride, and as Thomas calmed to a snicker, he said, William, you mustn't, the apostrophe's off, concern yourself with Simon. Even his horse will not take his orders. Surely, he is a lost cause.
How does someone calm to a snicker? What is the Thomas calmed to a snicker? What is that?
The author.
Grammar is impeccable, by the way.
William chose to brush it off, darting to the front once more. He charged forward like lightning, and his men struggled to catch up as they increased their speed. Ass, Simon muttered under his breath, his words lost to William in the gust of wind. He tried to stand taller
on the back of his horse.
On the back of his horse. His eyes fixed on Thomas as he gripped desperately on his horse's reins. You know, I am considered one of the finest riders in Mirkwell. Thomas snickered. Is that so? Why, it doesn't surprise me that a piss-poor village like Mirkwell would deem you their finest rider.
God, it would be hilarious to just see like an animation of people just standing on their horses, all riding.
Simon scoffed, raising an eyebrow in challenge. Oh, and I suppose you hail from a more noble place? Oh, no, of course not. My village has yet to decide a name, Thomas replied, completely unbothered. In fact, very few men hail from there. We hold very little significance, but at least I do not claim to be a man I am not. Simon's nose scrunched, but he focused his attention onto John. And of you, where might you be from? Does it matter? We all hail from little villages, he replied bluntly. After all, a king may bat an eye if his noblemen are in danger, but a common man means nothing. We all wear common fabric that aren't fit for fighting, and we fall into battle.
And they're all knights,
Yes.
not common soldiers.
Yes. His eyes briefly flickered to William as he spoke. But the noble must don a suit full of iron so that they may come out unscathed. This time he faced William as he asked, "Why is that, William?" For once, William looked lost for words. He stuttered, "I'm not sure." Is this guy asking why armor lets people return unscathed?
He's asking why nobles wear armor that lets them return unscathed.
I suppose it's because whoever chooses who gets the armor is an asshole.
No, I think
Shouldn't everyone have fucking armor?
No.
Keep in mind,
The author.
world only people who are really, really trained are allowed to wear helmets.
Yeah, knights are just commoners that have no armor and like basic gear. So what are common soldiers? Just fucking peasants walking around the battlefield? Oh god.
I don't get it. And William's lost for words.
We all are. But like, okay, because William's a noble. And he's asking William, why do nobles wear armor? And it's like, well, because we're fucking rich. We can afford it. We're more valuable. Like, come on now, William.
Well, not even that. Wouldn't like armor be lent out to soldiers?
Well, yeah,
Like-
no, that's absolutely retarded. Just and they're knights. They're not even soldiers. Well, didn't it say all of the people in that castle were knights? That's why he's the Alegord's the knight commander.
I think it was said they're the strongest or like the best soldiers and knights in the kingdom.
It's really hard to tell, but I think right now knights aren't just nobles. Maybe it's hard. It's hard to tell which system he's got going on in this one.
So the knight ransoming thing was exclusive for story 3. This is story 1. So we can't really say yes or no on that unless there's a definitive statement in this story.
So he might be just taking common soldiers out, and they're asking, why do knights wear armor while we don't?
I mean, that still doesn't change the fact that like normal soldiers would still have armor.
Yeah, like what are they good for without it? Why would
death? I mean, I guess they're good enough for death.
They wouldn't be. They wouldn't do it. They'd say, "Fuck this," and all become bandits. I'm not going out into a war with clothes.
You have visited the Demon Lands many times, and yet you have never returned home with a mark. John furrowed his brows, eyeing William's armor. William's eyes flash with the hint of rage. I return from battle because of my own strength. You would be a fool to assume otherwise. A fool incapable of fighting. Shall we continue?
No, if you got armor and they don't.
Is he literally, like, he's saying that, like, none of it is because of armor.
No, that's a big factor. If they don't have armor and you do, that's a big factor. You can get hit with sharp objects and not immediately die. That's a big factor.
Shortly after those words, they stumbled upon a man. And as William beheld him, he ground his teeth, forcing himself not to look away. Unlike the other carcasses, this man's flesh remained intact rather than his remains being skeletal. Which means the previous carcasses mentioned are solely skeletons. They are standing upright skeletons.
And this guy, wait. Okay. William. Okay, William ground his teeth. I thought they said the guy they stumbled upon ground his teeth. Like, alive? Like a living corpse? But no, it was William. Okay.
Another corpse lay on the ground in his own puddle of blood,
Okay,
his lower half missing.
That wasn't just me. That was actually the poor grammar there. And
Where?
as William beheld him, he ground his teeth. So
Yeah.
that's referring to the corpse as the subject.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Another corpse lay on the ground in his own puddle of blood, his lower half missing from his body as his intestines poured from stomach.
So a recent death.
Very recent, if this is the desert.
Like anywhere, the blood's gonna dry up like within like an hour.
I mean, yeah. I just mean like doubly so for a desert.
Yeah, for sure. It'd just be like red sand.
Silence
Like, hold
fell.
on, no, it would be anyways. What the hell? Even if it was red.
Silence fell upon them as they scanned the area, but there was no sign of what happened. I feel like the sign of what happened, like right there. I mean, at the very least, what happened is someone was ripped in half.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And not only that, he got ripped in half in the demon land. What else happens? What's the mystery here?
Whatever had done this, it had left a trail of bodies behind, but no clues.
What could have possibly done this in the demon lands? I don't understand. Why, God? Why have you forsaken us?
So, wait, are they now attributing the other, like, standing skeletons to the same creature that would have done this?
No, that's
visually super
causes.
recent?
That's natural causes. This is a mystery. Most likely a angry murder.
No, it says, whatever had done this, it had left a trail of bodies behind. So, that makes it sound like all the standing skeletons, they're attributing to the same thing that did this.
Either that, or there are more bodies there that they aren't talking about.
Amid the grim atmosphere, it was strange to hear Thomas chuckle as he jested. Shall you act without caution? You may end up like one of these. He looked to Simon, whose face contorted in disgust, holding back a flood of vomit. How absolutely dreadful, he exclaimed.
A flood of vomit.
A string of vomit. Just random fucking words.
William ignored them as he caught sight of a hole ahead, and as he neared it, its sheer size brought him and his steed back in caution. Covered in scales, the gaping hole could swallow him entirely.
What?
Oh yes, it's whole time.
The hole is covered in scales.
Covered in scales, the gaping hole could swallow him entirely.
Okay, so it's probably a demon. It's a dragon just sitting there with his mouth open. What is this hole covered in scales? I don't understand. Either that or what the hell? How can a hole be covered in scales?
Its only creation could have been a cannon or a giant if such a thing dared live here.
Okay, so maybe the scales is just like debris around the hole, maybe?
It says scales!
Maybe scales are just like scales of rocky sand that are just meant to be like shards or something like that. Because if it's a cannon or a giant, that means it looks like something exploded.
Thomas trotted closer, taking it in. Must be a behemoth. Well, what else could be large enough to tear holes into the ground? But behemoths don't have scales, William noted.
Okay, so scales were scraped off whatever made the hole and are littered around the hole. Okay, well, why would it be a cannon then? How does a cannon make a fucking hole with scales? Or a giant? Do giants have scales? Oh my god.
Simon whimpered unsurely as he looked at the hole. I don't intend on finding out what it was. Sir, I believe we should leave. Whatever it was, it's bound to return. John raised an eyebrow. Scared? He sneered. William shifts it.
What could this be in the demon land? This.
William shifts his eyes away from them, focusing on the scene as he dismounted, his stomach twisted in worry as he moved closer to the scales.
Basically, it means he jumped off his horse that he was standing on. That's canon. That's canon.
The scales are large enough to be the size of his palm. It appears reptilian, he observed. But it's not possible. No reptile could exist of this size. Behind him, Simon swallowed hard. So, we leave?
Now watch him reference of dragons later, as though he knows that they exist and what they are. But he just did put two and two together. Large scales has to be reptilian. No reptile this size. Couldn't be a dragon either.
William shook his head as he mounted his horse again. We continue. Simon's eyes widened, provoking a scoff from John as they rode further with William. We must, he explained. Whatever this creature was, it trampled these men like they were nothing. Trampling, I don't think, will tear someone in half.
Oh, that's possible. Stepped him in half.
How is it possible?
He crushed him in half. So the first guy, I don't know what was going on there. He lost his skin, I think. I don't know what was going on. I don't remember what he said. What was going on with that first corpse?
Men of the kingdom of Maladin, our kingdom, we owe it to them to know how they died. Thomas stared at the dead bodies as he said, Yes, you're right. Those shields bear the mark of the eagle. They appear to be Terran's men. But that's impossible. Terran's men are meant to be guarding the fortress.
I assume maybe this dragon's one of those 7 sins, but I don't know.
Wait, he's saying it's impossible. Terran's men are meant to be guarding the fortress.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, they're supposed to be guarding their fortress too, but they're still sending scouts in. How fucking impossible is it for them to be sending scouts as well?
And nobody knows what they're looking for or why, but I guess. But yeah, apparently they weren't scouting this day. They knew all of them were at the Terran's castle fortress. They just happened to get dragged all the way out here.
True, but we have yet to hear from them in the west, William thought aloud. He gave a quick nod to signal for them to continue, and they did, despite Simon's unrelenting reluctance. Blood splattering the horse's hooves. Why is there blood splattering the horse's hooves?
Yeah.
Because there's pools of blood in the desert. So much blood it just couldn't get absorbed in the sand. Pools, I mean, fucking lakes of it.
Suddenly, a swift string of steam rose from the ground, nearly hitting Simon. He exclaimed, Ass, why is it always me with the shitty luck?
Ass! Hello. Ass! Who says that?
Who yells ass?
Oh, it's either shit or fuck. You don't yell ass.
Thomas let out another laugh. Perhaps you should practice your faith. I have yet to hear you pray. Simon scrunched his nose. I have no time for such ridiculous sayings. William turned his head then. Those who do not act in accordance with the Grand Pope's teachings shall expect death as a penalty. I suggest you do not refer to prayers as ridiculous. Simon gave no argument as they continued, careful not to step on any geysers on the ground as they blew up steam everywhere. Why are these geysers going off now?
They're not. Yeah, how do they not see them before they got there? They're everywhere.
As they continued riding, they came across a pile of soldiers deliberately stacked on top of each other, and it took one look to know that the riders shared one thought. This was not the doing of a beast.
What could have done this in the demon land?
Looking at the bodies, their skin was still present, but torn to ruins like the previous bodies, with wounds still fresh. Their eyes were dilated, but still solid.
What does that mean? Dilated eyes are not less solid than any other eye.
Oh, God.
The author.
This happened not too long ago, William thought aloud as he dismounted once again, kneeling and rummaging underneath their leathered armor. They're wearing armor. They have armor. Armor. They have it.
Wait. The piles of bodies have armor.
Okay, but if you're bitching about armor so much, nick that shit.
Yeah,
Fucking seriously. Also, if you're talking about armor being like the sole thing that keeps people from dying, and these fuckers are dead, your argument's over.
Okay. Maybe they've got leather armor. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe he's jealous of the metal armor.
Who cares? He simplified it down to just armor.
That's what armor means in their world. They want the good stuff. The leather armor is just basic.
You're not wearing armor unless you're a maxed out fucking character in Diablo 2.
Yeah. That's your damn anime character with legendary gear.
His fingers met with paper. A letter? No, a report. He skimmed his eyes past the words until he saw the signature, and he paled in horror. Jasper. A man he knew. Wouldn't the fucking paper be covered in blood? If the blood doesn't dry up here for some reason, and it's a pile of bodies, that thing would be red.
No, it just happened to land on somebody, not get blown away.
What's the matter, Captain? Thomas asked, sensing the change in William's demeanor. William shook his head as he tried to straighten out his thoughts. I need to confirm something. Stay there, he said abruptly as he studied the bodies further. They stood there in confusion, watching as their captain revealed the faces of everybody he could. He's revealing them.
Just lifting up their heads. Nope, not this guy. Nope, not this guy.
It's like a game show. He just takes the helmet off and just, yeah, not him. Yeah, not him. Of everybody until he could reach one. A lifeless corpse, stranger to the other riders, but a face the captain stared at. No, he breathed, his voice breaking. Surprisingly, it was Simon who spoke, breaking the heavy silence as William panted, trying to steady his breath. Are you all right, sir? William gave it a pained expression, eyes glued to the corpse.
He's real trying to draw up some tension here.
I knew him, he uttered, barely a whisper. What do you mean, sir? Thomas asked. William's mind was empty as he stared at his lifeless friend. I fought. I've fought alongside these men before. We all trained in Jorkarith before we were sent to the front lines. Jasper was sent to Harwood. His chest grew heavy as he tore his eyes away, taking a moment. Harwood, eh? John remarks. We haven't heard from them in a while. I suppose we know why now. Does that mean they took all their people into the fucking desert?
Who's John?
Wait, isn't John one of the ones that was sent off
I'm
there?
assuming.
Wait a minute. Page 46.
Is he?
Yeah, John was one of the 3 guys that went with William. I believe it was John, Simon, and
Yeah.
Thomas. Maybe.
Thomas, John,
Okay.
and Simon.
I still can't tell who is who, except that Simon is the scared one, I think.
The issue is it would take days to reach here by horse. They must have tried running.
Running?
What?
Running? Oh, wow.
They can run faster than their horses.
Yeah, it would take days to reach it by horse. They ran and got there, no problem.
William said as he remounted his horse. Let's go already, Simon said, shuddering, refusing to look at the bodies. For once I side with Simon, Thomas added. Harwood's men are strong-suited, far more than us. Terran's men are said to be 100 strong. If they were slaughtered, what hope have we? Wouldn't more than 100 people garrison like a castle or a fortress?
Yeah, they got like 50 maybe.
William's voice was thick with authority as he ordered, No, we continue until we know the cause.
Of what caused this in the demon lands.
It's essential information to properly prepare at the castle. Before
So
anyone could protest, he charged forward, forcing everyone to follow him.
We've got to see exactly what demon did this. Like, you know what the hell did this. Okay, look, maybe it's a little bit acceptable because maybe they think there's like probably a really strong demon and they need to find out. Or if there's like an army of demons coming around invading fortresses, maybe. Maybe it makes a little bit of sense.
It's a group of 4.
Well, yeah, they're not going to be able to do anything.
I mean, they were told to scout, not enter combat, but it doesn't matter. Like, if you think this is something that if it catches you, you're fucked, I would feel like they would just be like, hey, there's a bunch of bodies there. And just, like, go report back.
Yeah, that's pretty useful information.
I mean, if Henry asks, well, what caused it? You can just kind of point to a map and say, sir, this is the demon lands.
That's the thing. That's the one thing they can't figure out. What is causing all of this in the demon lands?
They advanced deeper. They advanced deeper into the territory until the sight of a graveyard stopped them in their tracks. Skeletal bones adorned the ground like jewelry, buried underground, sticking out horrifically. They weren't humans, rather a forest full of animals.
Alright, we're back to the animals. Had 2 piles of humans, and now we're back to the animal.
What the hell is this? Simon stuttered. William had never laid eyes on a place so horrific, bones as far as the eyes could see. How does this place exist? He muttered.
Maybe it's all gluttony. Maybe that's what this is trying to get at.
Simon's horse became uneasy as he struggled to maintain control. It became difficult to try and enter the graveyard, like the steed was avoiding it. Simon took a moment to ease his horse and readjust his posture riding. I feel like that's a little difficult when you're standing on it. It's nothing, he assured as he saw the rider's cautious expression. Wait.
Readjusting his posture riding, by the way, which is standing, so he just like shifted his feet.
Yeah. But then there's this. It's nothing, he assured as he saw the rider's cautious expressions. Is this horse sapient?
No, that's Simon reassuring the other riders. It's just weird because he's calling them riders even though he's one of them.
But wouldn't you have be the other riders? And you wouldn't have an apostrophe there.
Yeah, that's definitely what's missing. He should say the other riders, because the riders makes it sound like the horse.
Yeah. As they rode uphill, avoiding the bones that could collapse on them despite the many that lay above them. How big are these animals?
Oh no, it's piled high. It's piled high. Mountain of bones. They're at Bone Mountain.
A sound made them jump in unison.
While they're standing on their horses.
While they're standing on their horses. A piece of a bone, flimsy, dropping to the ground.
Oh my god.
I don't think flimsy is a good descriptor of a bone.
It's flimsy because it fell out of the bone pile. It was flimsily situated.
And as they sighed with relief, the ground shook beneath them, and the horses flew into a panic. Simon's horse kicked, sending him flying the other direction as the horse bolted away.
Well, you're standing on it. You're not going to be very secure.
As it disappeared over the hill, there was a deafening shriek, and Simon felt a chill in his spine. Suddenly, something dropped from the sky, landing on Simon's lap. Blood poured onto his clothes as the head of his horse stared at him, detached from its body. Simon choked, gagging in fear, as he held back a blood-curdling scream.
This was not a good idea. Scouting mission into the demon land.
And then a trail of bones poured from the top of the hill. Their eyes shifted, focusing on the rumbling sound behind the towering pile above them.
What kind of rumbling sound? Is it just like a fucking earthquake volcano sound? Like, what is going on?
Acid poured, melting the bones around them. A foot emerged from the hill, stomping beside Simon, and a beast's eye peeked from the line of bones. The beast's size so enormous that the riders couldn't see its full entirely.
What could this be? In the demon land.
They could have mistaken it for the land around them, its body completely covered in bones like a second skin. William's breath hitched when he caught sight of the scales peeking underneath, barely noticeable.
Yep.
Dragon, he breathed.
He knows what a dragon. I told you. I told what reptile could be this large? I don't know. And then he sees something. It's a dragon. Why didn't you know that earlier? You had all the information you needed. Giant scales, reptilian. What could it be? I don't know. And then turns out, he knows what a dragon is the whole time.
Horse meat is rather tough, though I suppose no better than boar meat, it bellowed, speaking in a voice like a god. Rumbling, echoing, and deafening.
Talking dragons. All right, we have established sentient dragons.
There was a long pause as they all took in what they had just witnessed. It spoke.
And they didn't know that there were sentient dragons. Okay.
Well, it was a beast that resembled a dragon.
Well, he said dragon. He said dragon.
But then after that it had, or a beast that greatly resembled.
Oh, okay. So they're still pretending to be unsure. Well, no, it could be one of those 7 demons, maybe.
Oh, how I love it. Oh, how I love to gobble and munch, gnaw and chew, collect and gather. A collection of bones, an endless supply of meat, it's never enough. Do you have something that can fulfill my insatiable hunger? It did not stutter, did not pause. As it spoke, a string of saliva burned like acid on the ground. It leaned its head towards them, and they backed away cautiously. Who are you? William asked, stunned. Who am I? Well, let's see. I'm not sure. I am no man nor beast. I am cursed to walk as they see fit. I am Gulmon Feast, he said,
Who is
voicing it like.
they?
Oh,
Just
It fits. It fits. It's gluttony.
I
It's just
mean,
his name was Goldman Feast.
just a shit name, too.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean, who would, if someone had the last name of Feast, they would change that shit.
Yes. Jesus.
Gotta wonder what the other names are.
Oh, they're just as bad.
Oh yeah, they are. They are.
Gildor Lazy for sloth.
Well, Lust's last name is just Sex with an A in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sakes. She is the Sakes, he said, voicing it like a song as he shook his head, his acidic saliva spraying, threatening their lives as he bared his enormous teeth, bones wedged between.
He's just got big ass teeth. Oh,
Simon shivered, stuttering as he pointed. He ate my horse.
It's the least of your problems.
The beast's eyes gleamed with familiarity. Ah, that thing. It wasn't much of a meal. It did not do much to quill my hunger. I'm always so hungry. I'm always so hungry, and they not much to eat around here. It seems I've eaten most of the animals, and all I am left is fragments of bones. William mustered up the courage he had left, and he asked, And what of the men? Were you the one who attacked them? Men? I haven't seen humans in quite so long. Wasn't sure if they existed anymore, he said as he crushed the hill of bones he lay on, digging his teeth into his face. He is digging his own teeth into his own face.
His mouth is like opening backwards.
He slammed his head on the ground again and again and again.
Yeah, you probably would if you're eating your own face. Stop it! Stop
it! The riders immediately backed away, distancing themselves further. Are you all right, Goldman? William asked cautiously. Yes, the creature assured. It is just my stomach is as big as the fields, and yet I cannot fill them as such. Now these men you speak of, where do you hail? Goldman asked. Well, we hail from where all men hail, where men fight, battle, feast, and all mannerisms of such, William said.
Feast.
What?
So don't talk about feasts to this thing. Your insights to get to go down there. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. Yeah, we come from where men fight, battle, and eat a whole bunch of food.
How interesting, Gulmon said, slamming his head into the ground again, swallowing bones he could find.
This thing is fucking... Oh my god.
Simon, startled from the impact, yelps, backing away more as he leaned onto the pile of bones behind him. One sharp cut his forearm open, and as the blood poured, Gulmon's head snapped to him, sniffing the air. The men stiffened as the blood dropped onto the ground, tainting the white of one of the bones. Gulman watched with a searing intensity until he spoke, quiet, ravenous. Quick question. If he has, like, full-on blood smelling, wouldn't he have smelled all the fucking corpses, like,
Yes.
10 minutes
Yep.
away?
Yeah, they're not very far away.
Human blood. Yes. Yes, I remember it now. The smell, the taste. How could I forget? William's heart stopped as its head leaned slowly forward, eyeing the blood, mouth opening, and then it lunged forward. Simon was first, his screech piercing, deafening. William dived forward, but he wasn't quick enough, his sword not long enough, not strong enough. The acid of Gulman's saliva sprayed onto his arm, burning through the armor, but not enough to injure him. Yet.
It melts bone. But, okay.
And it melts through his armor. Well, almost.
Maybe it's just a couple drops.
Simon wasn't so lucky, and while Gulman's head couldn't fit inside the divot of bones they were standing in, like a crater, its slobber still poured in, nearly flooding where they stood. Simon's body was nothing but flesh peeling off bone as his skin burned with an acidic hiss.
Okay, so it got him that time.
He was halfway through collapsing to the ground before his body was sliced in half as Gulman clamped his teeth, sinking into what was left of Simon's body. Still screaming, still screaming as he rose and then finally swallowed. William backed away from the acidic liquid. Don't go near it. Shit, Thomas repeated, jumping back. We need to climb out of here. Gulman dived in for more, its head struggling to get through the hole. The pile of bones collapsed like an avalanche, pushing them closer and closer to the acid. I remember how you taste, so sweet, so delectable, Gulman practically sang, his voice hungry, a glow in his eyes that was ravenous. In my bowl of bones, 4 tasty humans became 3. It was mocking them. It was playing, like a child. It knew it had already won.
I wonder how they get out of this, because that's quite the predicament. Are they still standing on their horses?
They're still standing on their horses. The only one who lost his horse was Simon. And now they're on their horses in a bone bowl next to acid.
Standing there with their hands on their hips, like, how do we get out of this? Standing on their horses. Him trying to bite to get down to. It's like you want to be as low as possible there.
We can't climb out of here. If we try, it'll swallow us in an instant, William barked. Thomas shot William a helpless, panicked look, eyes wide with undeniable fear. We must try. He turned around shrieking when he tried to kick the acid away from him with his boots.
What are you doing? Kick a liquid away.
Burning through his foot.
So his horse was just melted underneath it. Either that or I'm assuming all of them ran off.
No, the only horse that ran away was Simon's.
So they're standing in puddles of horses with acid creeping up on them.
He jumped up, grabbing onto the pile of bones like it was a mountain, holding on for dear life. Thomas, no, William shouted. Don't try to climb. It can't fit. It was too late. Gulman had already found its next victim.
So he pretty much just climbed right up to the fucking giant thing with teeth staring down at them.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, don't. He just climbs up against it. Like, what did you think was going to happen? You can literally see it above you there.
Its jaws snapping, the sound echoing, and the acid burned through Thomas's body next. His scream was louder than Simon's as he begged for mercy, begged unrelentingly as if there was hope for him left. and then one snap of Goleman's jaw silenced him forever. The acid had burned through some of the weak bones. What are weak bones?
The small ones. The real small ones.
Yeah, but those wouldn't be weak. Those would just be small.
Well, the smaller they are, the weaker generally.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
maybe.
but I mean, it's just bones. It's the colloquial bones.
He was describing bones flimsy or weak.
And William spied a flimsy spot through one of the piles of bones. A way out. He grabbed onto John's shoulder. "We need to climb through there," he hissed, whispering so Goleman couldn't hear.
God, I have no idea how far away they are from him, how deep this hole is, how big the monster is.
Where are the horses?
Where are the horses? They're either just gone or they're probably just like standing off to the side, like way away from him, so they can get on him and run away.
The horses are just standing over waiting while this giant beast is just fucking around. "I will not risk my life to follow your orders, William," John hissed back, pulling his shoulder away.
Okay, just stay in the fucking hole with the demons staring at you. Alright.
"You said we are to avenge those men, and now you want to run?" William couldn't believe John's resentment ran so deep he would risk his life over his pride. What in hell are you talking about? You know we can't beat it. We must run." "You can run like a coward, but when I come back with the beast's head, you will know what a true strong man looks like."
Now that's some fucking brave motherfucker right there.
This thing's head is larger than him. How the fuck is he going to bring it back?
He'll roll it.
William winced. "We don't have much time. There's a hole." John charged forward, his battle cry ringing high and proud. Goleman's eyes flickered to John, glimmering with determination, his next target. This was William's only chance. He bade his farewell in his mind, asking for forgiveness to John as he used his death as the distraction to escape. Quick as a feline, he crawled through the hole and ran as fast as the wind, never looking back. John's screams cut through the air like a knife, and it never stopped. It never stopped, not when he should have been dead. William's mind was haunted with it. Even as he ran further and further away, he could hear the scream behind him. And that's the end of chapter 5.
So he just ran away and it worked.
Yep.
Okay. John, you dumb motherfucker. I can't run away from this fucking 100-foot monster. I'm gonna kill it. He probably just climbed up and just got like bit in half in like a second.
So do you feel like you know more about this world now?
Slightly. Like, the names I'm gonna forget for sure, but I know most of the people are so stupid. like, oh my god, like Galahad can't recognize his own brother in his brother's house that he knows is his brother's house. And Henry's wife couldn't recognize Galahad until after he came in and she welcomed him.
Yeah.
And then fucking William saw a hole covered in scales that were giant scales and said there is no reptile large enough. And then also knows what a dragon is. What is with that? That discrepancy, because I called it. I knew it was going to happen too. Like, how do you... There's no reptile this big, but there's dragons. Oh my god, that gets me.
It's fairly weird. Everyone's a fucking idiot. And you forgot about the super kid that can just drop from like 60 feet and be fine.
Yes.
The author.
Oh, he climbed down and then jumped off. You didn't say any of that. He just straight jumped from the top. Like he skips a lot of the stuff that should be described, and it describes a lot of stuff that shouldn't be.
I mean, he makes sure that you know where everyone's eyes are pointing at,
and the structure of all the bones in that pile. Which ones are flimsy and which ones are weak.
You have also learned that people ride standing on the horses in this world. That's an important one.
Yeah, like, what's the one? What's he supposed to say there? Because I know there's definitely a way to describe like being on horseback and adjusting, like sitting up. I guess they sat up straighter instead of stood up. That's what it's supposed to be.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be they sat up, not they stood up. Because they are sitting, not standing. And now they're all standing. So, oh god. That image is just hilarious. People just standing while the horse is fucking galloping along.
Yeah. And next time, a week from now, we will be going over chapters 6, 7, and 8.
A week at Clifton's Fortress.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
This one's going to be short.
It's going to be a Alegord. Oh yeah.